what is one of the biggest issues you find with entrepreneurs when they are trying to get on stage and or trying to build their self brand?
It's a good question. So like if people are trying to get on stage, I think for that piece, a lot of times it's like, well, I don't have the audience that you have, Ted, and I don't have the name and the authority that you have, right? And I said, well, here's the thing, getting booked on a stage is about like certain assets, right? And so what I mean by that is like most people think, well, if you lead your first live event, like when I started to do live events with 20 people in the room, I could automatically go to other people at 20 people in the room and say, let's swap stages.
Yeah.
So I would get booked on smaller stages to start, right? The second thing is like one of my first talks, I had 2 people in the room, right? But I still showed up and spoke.
Yeah.
So a lot of times people want to start, I want the 100-person audience. And I'm like, well, that's great. But like, if you're brand new, you start where you're at. So there's no like comparison. You just need to know where you're at. And then what are going to be wins for you? A win for me is different than a win for somebody else. So you need to establish what your wins are. Like a 20-person room, that would be amazing, right? So that's number one.
Yeah.
Do you have something to trade for that? Do you have a stage? Do you have a podcast? Do you have an email list? Great. If you don't, the other things you have to trade are your skill sets. So like if I'm a really great storyteller, I've had people book my one-man play on their stage without any reciprocation. Like, hey, that would be really cool. Come do that at my event.
Yeah.
I've had that multiple times because it's unique. So if you're like have a unique skill set, it will get you booked faster, right?
Of course. Yeah.
Now in a competitive world, in a competitive world, not a lot of people, especially brand new people, fall into that category. So the other thing you have is the ability to network. So I remember when I got this woman named Marsha Weeder. She was a friend years ago, and she got booked on Oprah a couple times. And so I remember helping her where we met at a mastermind, and I was helping her with messaging because I'm good with messaging. And she was like, "Wow, you're really good at this." I'm like, "Yeah, I live in San Diego. You live in LA. Let me come down to your place to help you more." So I just offered help. So I went down and we're sitting there and she's like, I'm rebranding. So give me your thoughts on this. And she pulls up this page and it's a seminar page of like her event. And there's like 15 speakers. And I'm looking at the thing. I'm like, oh, what are those 3 black boxes? She's like, oh, nobody's in those spots. And I said, oh, okay. So let me ask you this. Like, how many people do I need to put in your seminar room for you to book me on your stage? So that's a key question, right?
Yeah.
How many people do I need to put in your seminar room? Not, hey, can I be on your stage? No. How can I put people in your room? She goes, well, what would you talk on? Well, the second thing is know your topic.
Yeah.
I go, I could talk on this. And she goes, well, we got somebody for that. I could talk on this. We got somebody for that. I could talk on this. Oh, we don't have somebody for that. So you got to know your topic, right? So you got to know your assets of like help people fill their room. Number 2, know your topic and have multiple options. And then number 3, follow up. So she goes, well, let me think about it. So 2 hours later after our meeting, we're walking to my car. I'm like, what do you think? She's like, what do you mean? I go, what do you think about how many people I need to put in your seminar room to get on your stage? She's like, well, I don't know. And I go, great. What if I brought 12 of my VIP clients and I got them like in 24 hours, I'll have them all registered. Really? Yeah. Now VIP have higher status. Now I didn't have a lot of clients at the time, but I had private clients. So I was starting my business.
Yeah.
So I said, great, I'll have all 12 registered and come to the event. And so I did. And then she put me on her stage with 600 people, right? And so adding value of like bringing high quality people into the room is important. And then the final thing is when I got on the stage, most people were teaching on content. So you have a lot of speakers' content. So I'm like, I'm going to be different. I'm going to tell my story and then give content. Yeah. My story is going to be like 15, 20 minutes, and I'm going to stand out and be a storyteller instead of just a content giver.